Hey everyone, Roxabox90 here with the next part of my full Theros set review, and we're going to deal with the green this time. Obviously not Bow of Nylea since we already mentioned it, but we'll talk about the rest of the green cards from the set and my thoughts about as many formats as possible while keeping the video relatively short. So Leaf Crown Dryad is one of the more reasonable bestows. I think in Limited it's a pretty decent common, and the bestow cost is actually reasonable, especially if you can throw it on a heroic. I don't know if it quite makes it there for constructed. I don't think so. Satyr Hedonist, 2 for a 2/1 is already, it's okay, but none of the abilities make it stick around, so it's basically just there to ramp up if you're ramping, and that's it, which is kind of bizarre. Especially, yeah, just it's very strange. So it's not very good. Maybe in Limited, I don't know where else we'll see play. Anthusa Citizen Hero is the intro pack heroic rare, which means it's going to be good in Limited and for casual players and nowhere else. And that's pretty much where Anthusa will see play. The 3 lands is just a lot of power on field for Limited, but it's not really good anywhere else. Palakranos World Eater was the star of the heroic or heroes versus monsters sets, and Palakranos as a card is pretty good. 4 for a 5/5 with that incredibly versatile monstrosity is great as a mythic, especially for more casual players. We do have the Dredge, what's it called? The Dredge Scavenger or whatever, the 4 for a 5/5 that has Scavenge, and I think that's slightly more playable than the monstrosity, potentially in standard. So maybe it's not quite as powerful, but in Limited, of course, it's insanely unreal, and it does have some constructed possibility, so that's pretty cool. Reverend Hunter, we already talked about. Put a number of 1 counters equal to your devotion. So for a 3-drop, of course, in a mono or 2-color decks, it's going to be pretty good. Limited, of course, it's ridiculous, especially if you're running, green and or one other color. The devotion could get up there and you could play him, 3 for a 4/4, 5/5. Pretty solid. So it's a very solid card. Bow of Nylea, again, is just very versatile, and will probably have some option for certain EDH builds. And of course, in Limited, I don't really know in terms of constructed. It does a lot for its mana cost, but it's also does not very much. A lot of these cards that give a bunch of different options that we've seen in the past haven't seen much play outside of Limited, so I don't think it's going to quite make it there. Commune with the Gods is a really nice tutor, especially if your deck is built, if you're running very heavy, Xanagos, if you're running Planeswalkers and creature heavy, Commune with the Gods could be very, very good. So I think it'll be very nice for Limited, for getting through your deck, and it might actually see, a couple in constructed play. Nessian Asp is just really big with reach, and for some reason no death touch. Come on, guys. Seriously? It's not that good. It really isn't. Even with the monstrosity, it's only going to become an 8/9 reach for a ridiculous amount of mana, so it's a common. Karametra's Acolyte is, of course, going to be really solid for devotion. Still a little expensive, but it's a fine uncommon. It's fine. Hunt the Hunter, on the other hand, is really not that good, I think. It's just too specific. It has to fight a green creature. Very, very limited. Maybe a sideboard card in Limited, and that's it. Limited, only unlimited. Sylvan Carotid is a rare, but it's actually pretty awesome. And I think, given what we've seen of past walls, it could potentially see some play, given that it's hexproof. So it's a real pain. It gives you any color. Definitely has potential in constructed, and of course in Limited it's ridiculously annoying. Nylea God of the Hunt is a queen of Limited. She's ridiculous, huge, powerful, going to give your creatures trample, going to boost things up, going to win you the game hopefully, especially if you're running a very focused green, but she's not all that good in constructed. So yeah, I think she's currently overpriced and she's not going to see a lot of play in constructed. But in Limited, if you get her, go grab her right away and get green, because she's going to make you win. Arbor Colossus is big and pretty much a Limited card. He's just the huge green beater of the set, except that he doesn't have trample, and he only destroys a flyer, and only becomes big. Yeah, not very good. Boon Satyr is, if anyone saw Evan Irwin's review of it, he loves Boon Satyr. I think it's okay. We have better options, I think, given what we have for that mana cost. Even with the rotation and we're losing Wolfer Avenger, I still think that we have Witchstalker and such for that cost. So it's all right. It's not crazy awesome. It's going to be limited and maybe some constructed builds. Nessian Courser is just a big limited card, and that's it. It's the reprint from Future Sight. Ordeal of Nylea is going to be great with Heroic, but since I don't think Heroic is very viable in terms of a constructed build, it's going to be a limited card for sure. Centaur Battlemaster is the king heroic of limited, 5 for a 3/3 that every time he heroics, you get 3 1+1 counters on him. Sign me up. That guy is awesome. You just hit him once, even if you give him a bestow, he's going to be out of this world. Definitely pick him up in limited. Mistcutter Hydra is the other, I guess, Centaur Battlemaster. Mistcutter Hydra, I never put out a formal spoiler review. Mistcutter Hydra is a green and X for a 0/0. It can't be countered. Haste, Pro Blue, when it enters the battlefield with X1 counters. So it's a very, very specific card, but a very powerful card. The fact that control decks can't counter it, it can attack instantly, and it's Pro Blue means that it's gonna be swinging, it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be big. Obviously, if you're not running against blue, it's not super awesome, but if at the very least, it's a solid sideboard card. I really like the scaling, but really, Wizards, we just had Skylasher. Why are you making so many hate blue from green cards that don't really do much else? Please, but the art's awesome. Feigned Antiquity is 3 mana to exile at sorcery speed. Couldn't be 2. We just had that and from Mirrodin we had a card that exiled. So for 2, why can't we have it sorcery speed and a 2-cost exile? Agent of Horizons, 3/2 for 3. Can't be blocked this turn, so unblockable. So maybe a limited card. That's about it. Artisan Saros destroys an artifact or enchantment for 4 with Scry, so they're just tacking Scry onto a destroy spell. The fact that it's 4 mana is a bit expensive, even with the Scry. I am not such a fan. Maybe in limited and sideboard, maybe. Defend at the heart, prevent all damage, so it's a fog pretty much, which is fine. Feral Invocation, it flashes into gives 2/2. Obviously in limited this is going to be great, and the art is gorgeous. You throw it on Heroic, boom, they're in trouble. Heroic effects, get strong creature, kill their creature, it's going to be fun. Nemesis of Mortals, 6 for a 5/5. It costs 1 less for T-cast for each creature card in your graveyard. Wait, are we back in Innistrad again? What's going on with the graveyard stuff? 9 mana Monstrosity 5, and it costs 1 less to activate for each creature in your graveyard. And it doesn't say what the Monstrosity does, so we'll have to wait to find out what it does. But even so, as it is, this is the 2 mana for a 5/5 that Mauro spoke about. And it looks reasonably good in limited. I don't think it's quite there in construct unless the monstrosity is insane, but even so, 9 mana for whatever the monstrosity is probably just not going to be worth it, and you're not going to get there. It's okay. Nylea's Disciple is 4 for 3/3 that you gain life equal devotion. It's not that powerful. It's better than a 4 for a 3/3 nothing, but it's not that great. Nylea's Emissary is a bestow that gives trample, and I presume 2/2, 3/3 maybe. But it's a 6 bestow, it's a bit too much. Nylea's Presence, it's a land that cantrips, and enchanted lands every basic land type, so it taps for any color, pretty much, just reworded. And yeah, it's fine, it's going to be limited, nice card. Farah's Band Centaurs is a 3/7, and that's it, so boring. Satyr Piper, 2/1 that can force a lure, but again, a little expensive, so maybe limited. Savage Surge is a nice heroic for limited, it's going to be a nice combat trick. It gives 2/2, you untap, you kill their creature, the heroic effects, it'll be fun and limited. Sedge Scorpions, a 1/1 Death Touch for 1 that does nothing else, so maybe limited. Shredding Winds hits 7 damage, why 7 for a against only flying creature? Again, maybe limited, and that's about it. Stone-Hearted Warrior, you put two 1/1 counters on it if you heroic it, which is fine, heroic, generic, probably, it could be decent and limited maybe. Time to Feed is a fight spell for 3. I don't think the 3 life matters that much, but it could see some play in limited because of, again, it's fights. There's a lot of limited stuff in this set, that's for sure. Voyaging Satyr, 2 for 1/2 for Arbor Elf's effect. Really, they couldn't just put another functional Arbor Elf. I think it's fine, but at 2 mana, it's not quite as powerful as the 1-drop that you're expecting. So, maybe, no, I don't think so. Vulpine Goliath, 6/5 trample for 6, and that's it, so it's a decent bomb in limited, as with most of these things, and not much else. And Warrior's Lesson is up to 2 target creatures. Whenever this creature does combat damage, you draw a card, so it's, of course, going to be a huge, awesome pick for limited, because if you're running heroic, it's going to be ridiculous. And even if you're not running heroic, it's going to be a powerful card. Just for 1 green, that could potentially net you 2 cards and 1 to 2 heroic abilities. It's a definite pickup in limited. So that is the green cards from the set. Let me know your thoughts about them below in the comment section. Stay tuned for the next part coming up soon. As always, Roxabox90 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.